In the Synoptic Gospel of Matthew, the Levite, the publican or tax collector, and one of the four evangelists, chapter 10, it is recorded, and when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. Provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses. No scrip for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. And into whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. And when you come into an house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when ye depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Hello, my name is Major Mike Webb, literally the son of a preacher man, and I am running for the Arlington Public School Board with a primary platform founded upon reopening schools safely, for which my credential, my experience as a retired field-grade Army officer and veritable biological warfare planner, place me at a unique advantage. If the former president can be faulted for failing to follow intelligence, as that was my field for 2 decades, military intelligence. Primarily focused on force projection, or in layman's terms, delivering tactical and strategic assets to the right place at the right time and with the right equipment. And force protection, or simply keeping troops under my charge safe, kind of like a shepherd and his sheep. But at the beginning of the current public health crisis, when many Northern Virginia churches closed their doors and canceled worship services, even before the first order had been handed down from the governor, prohibiting non-essential gatherings of 100 persons or more. Under the Free Exercise Clause, I brought the issue to court. And it raises a reasonable inference of suspicion that rather than appear in court to make an argument on the merits and acknowledge that civil right in due process that guarantees aggrieved persons to a day in court and the process that is due, the governor and his legal representative at the Office of the Attorney General, Mark Herring, adopted the peculiar defense strategy in contempt of court to evade the service of a summons, and after a year chose to present a motion to dismiss that case, placing the ultimate blame not upon themselves, but partially on the person that brought the suit, but also squarely upon the sheriff of the city of Alexandria, who had failed in his duty in contempt of court to serve process or deliver the summons to bring the governor under the personal jurisdiction of that court. It is further significant that even though he has admitted that he had knowledge or notice of that suit, the first, final, and the longest surviving challenge to the lockdown orders, Attorney General Mark Herring chose a right to remain silent when, in August, he issued a press release to announce his easy victory over at least 15 cases brought against the governor's COVID-19 response. A response in which one pastor was even threatened with imprisonment and fined for abiding by the dictates of his faith, and was not relieved of that penalty until the Attorney General William Barr had interceded on behalf of the former President Donald Trump. And regardless of your politics or ideology, as a person of faith, you must accept this as a simple fact. But now, with restrictions being lifted, many faith leaders are now rejoicing and getting the word out that their parishioners and members can now return to in-person worship. Just like the over 3 million persons who had chosen to participate in an extended period from September 18th to October 31st to do what was often described as their duty, to absentee vote in person for an election, while only less than 1 million chose to safely vote by mail. Yet it is a fact that as many as 1/5 of churches closed their doors permanently because of the lockdown orders that restricted in-person worship, but not your right to vote. It is a fact that as many as 20% of persons of faith who had, before the public health crisis, engaged in regular in-person devotional worship had resolved to abstain from virtual worship, but returned at some point after the pandemic when they considered it to be safe again, but went and broke records with 4.2 million people voting in Virginia, and finding many responding to surveys that one reason that they did not attend a church was because they feared that they might die from COVID-19, a disease condition that even in China found 80% of persons who had been infected presenting at most symptoms of mild pneumonia, but most with nothing worse than what most experience with the common cold. But for persons of faith, the president and the governor have presented essentially a moral dilemma now. And the question posed concerns your faith, the faith that carried you through a pandemic, in what had found some apparently believing that a God who may have been everywhere, as the governor has repeatedly stated as a testament of his faith, but who yet was on all evidence no match against a novel coronavirus, notwithstanding the scriptures that experienced the lowest readings in history that had said that when Jesus had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. And so as the church doors open again for you to return, the big question is, had you made your decision for Christ? And now with restrictions lifting, the governor and the president have essentially placed church-going Christians on an honor system, so that if you have been compliant and been vaccinated, you may return to worship in person, as you normally do. However, if you have been non-compliant and given not unto Caesar that which has been deemed to be Caesar's, you are expected to refrain from participating in the in-person devotional worship. So this is a test of the emergency broadcast system and how much of a Christian you are. And on this honor system, as a good church-going Christian, you're expected not to lie, because good church-going Christians are not supposed to lie. And your church probably doesn't want to be known as a hypocritical Christian church. So before you head off to church on Sunday, put on your Sunday finest to go back to see your friends again. You have some praying to do if you have not obeyed the governor and the president, unless you want to lie to God. But the real moral dilemma is presented not just to sheep in the flock, but to the pastors who are charged with caring for those sheep. Back in March of last year, they closed the doors of their churches and even canceled Easter services, the most holy services of the year, because of their belief that if they held in-person services, then there was a risk of dying during a season when Christ had conquered death, a risk of being hospitalized or getting sick. And it was their thought that one of their members would bring that sickness into their church. And rather than trust those members to do the right thing back then, they closed those doors shut and canceled worship indefinitely. And now, recognizing that some members have refused and delayed getting vaccinated, those pastors are, just like the president and the governor, placing those rebellious members essentially on the honor system. But if a good shepherd would not place his flock at risk at the beginning of the health crisis because of his fear of the dangers posed by this novel coronavirus and his doubts that his flock would do the right thing back then, what besides the words of the president and the governor has altered those risks posed by a novel coronavirus that was bigger than God, bigger than the charge to disciples, giving them the power against unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease? Behold, he said, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Do I have your attention, Pastor? I know that you are interested. Have you made your decision for Christ? Action, honest. This briefing was unclassified. My name is Major Mike Webb, and by God, I am running for Arlington Public School Board. Let's keep Mike Webb away from our schools. Honest. This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.